final spring of 1945. Europe was burning, cities collapsing under a live fire. The Third Reich was finished, yet in the chaos, one train began a journey that would vanish into legend. It wasn't carrying soldiers or civilians. It was said to carry gold, tons of it plundered from every corner of Nazi-occupied Europe, bullion from national banks, crates of jewelry seized from families, even priceless works of art stolen from museums. Witnesses at a small freight yard near Breslau, today's Wrocław, Poland, recalled armed SS guards sealing boxcars late at night, each crate stamped with the black swastika. The train's manifest? Top secret. Its destination? Unknown. As Soviet tanks rolled ever closer, the train departed under heavy escort. Dozens of wagons rattled south toward the Alp Mountains, an area riddled with unfinished tunnels the Nazis had been carving for months under a secret project called WW2’s. Then it disappeared. No wreckage, no survivors, not even a broken rail. When the Red Army reached the region, they found only empty tracks swallowed by forest and rock. Some locals claimed they heard explosions the night it vanished. Perhaps the Germans had sealed the entrance to hide the treasure. Others believed the train never stopped, that it still lies buried deep inside a tunnel, locked behind walls of concrete and earth. For years, stories spread across Lower Silesia. Old miners whispered of hidden corridors they were ordered never to enter. Hikers spoke of strange humming beneath their feet, like distant wheels scraping steel. And once, a farmer claimed he saw a faint golden glow leaking from a crack in the hillside after a storm. The authorities dismissed it all as myth. But every decade, a new witness emerges, someone who swears their grandfather saw the ghost train. Treasure hunters have dug, drilled, and scanned these mountains with radar, convinced the Nazi gold still waits underground. Imagine what that train could hold: billions in modern value, a fortune large enough to rebuild nations or destroy reputations if its true owners were revealed. Because the Nazi plunder wasn't just about greed. It was part of a calculated empire built on theft, suffering, and the belief that Germany's new order would rise again on the wealth of others. But fate had different plans. As Berlin burned and Hitler's circle collapsed, so did the paper trail. The officers in charge of the train vanished or were executed. Documents disappeared, and so the legend grew, until it became one of World War II's greatest unsolved mysteries. Was it buried to keep it from the Soviets? Blown up to erase evidence? Or does it still sit perfectly preserved behind a hidden wall, waiting for the day someone digs in the right place? One thing is certain: somewhere between history and rumor, the Nazi gold train left the tracks of reality and entered the realm of myth. And yet, clues still exist: forgotten blueprints, coded letters, and witnesses long ignored. To understand the truth, we have to look back at the origins of this obsession with gold itself, and the secret network that built an empire of stolen treasure. In the next chapter, we uncover how the Nazis turned looting into an industry, and why so many believed the missing train was only one piece of a much larger puzzle. To understand the mystery of the Nazi gold train, we first need to understand the obsession that created it. Gold wasn't just wealth to the Third Reich. It was power control, proof of supremacy in a crumbling world. From the moment Hitler rose to power, his regime began stripping Europe of its riches. Banks were emptied, museums looted, entire families robbed of generations of treasures. The Nazis called it reclamation. In truth, it was theft on a scale the world had never seen. As the war dragged on, this gold became the hidden engine of the Reich, fueling weapons, buying loyalty, and funding escape routes for high-ranking officials when defeat seemed inevitable. By 1944, the SS had taken direct control of vast reserves, much of it stored in secret depots across Poland, Austria, and Czechoslovakia. But Hitler's empire was collapsing. The Allies were closing in from every direction, and the Nazis began to panic. High-ranking officers from the SS Economic Administration met in secret. Their mission: preserve the Reich's most valuable assets by any means necessary. Some gold was smuggled into Switzerland through neutral intermediaries. Some went south, toward Italy. But the largest share, so rumor claims, was loaded onto a heavily armored train bound for the mountains of Lower Silesia. Why there? Because beneath those mountains lay one of the most secret Nazi projects ever constructed, Project WW2’s. WW2’s, meaning giant, was a vast network of underground tunnels, bunkers, and chambers carved deep into solid rock. Built with forced labor from concentration camps, these tunnels were meant to serve as underground factories and shelters for Hitler's elite. But many believed they had another purpose: a hidden vault designed for the Reich's stolen treasure. Survivors from the Gross-Rosen concentration camp later testified that SS officers forced prisoners to haul heavy crates marked with the symbol of the Reich into the mountains. Those who asked questions never returned. When the war ended, Allied intelligence discovered portions of the WW2’s complex, but most of it was sealed, flooded, or destroyed. The Nazis had vanished into the shadows, taking their secrets with them. Over the decades, investigators have tried to trace the gold. A few bars recovered in Austria matched Nazi serials, linking them to occupied Poland. Swiss bank documents hinted at deposits made by German officials under false names. But the train, the supposed heart of it all, remained missing. Some historians believe it was a diversion, created to distract the Soviets while smaller convoys escaped. Others argue it was real and buried so deep inside Project WW2’s that even the Nazis themselves couldn't recover it after the war. In 2015, a Polish treasure hunting duo claimed to have located the train using ground-penetrating radar near the town of Wałbrzych. The discovery made global headlines. Excavation teams arrived, cameras rolled. Beneath the quiet forest of Lower Silesia, the earth hides scars from another time. Massive tunnels carved through rock, silent chambers where light struggles to reach, and miles of railway that lead nowhere. These are the remains of Project WW2’s the Giant, a labyrinth the Nazis built and then tried to erase. For decades, these tunnels have drawn soldiers, historians, and treasure hunters alike. Some came seeking truth, others came chasing gold, but all came face to face with the same question: what exactly lies beneath the Owl Mountains? The entrances are deceptive. Some look like ordinary caves, others sealed by concrete decades old. Inside, the temperature drops sharply. Air turns cold, still. The walls are covered in strange drill marks and rusted cables that snake into the darkness. And if you listen closely, you can almost hear the faint hum of machinery that hasn't moved in 80 years. Explorers have discovered narrow corridors branching endlessly, tunnels big enough to move trains, and chambers large enough to hide entire convoys. Some sections end abruptly, as if construction stopped overnight. Others are blocked by collapsed rock, or by doors fused shut with steel and cement. In 1970, a group of Polish miners uncovered one such passage while drilling for coal. The tunnel was lined with reinforced concrete and marked by faint German inscriptions. When they tried to break through, local authorities ordered the site sealed immediately. Officially, they claimed it was too dangerous. Unofficially, no one knows what they found inside. Many believe one of these sealed tunnels hides the missing gold train. Radar scans over the years have shown anomalies, large metallic objects buried dozens of meters underground. Yet every attempt to dig closer has ended mysteriously. Machinery fails, drills overheat, workers quit, claiming to hear sounds, metallic clanks echoing far below, as if a train still moves deep under the ground. A few explorers reported finding rusted rails vanishing into sealed stone walls. Some discovered fragments of wooden crates stamped with German markings, swastikas faded but still visible. Others have vanished altogether, lost in the maze of the mountains, their last radio transmissions describing a corridor that shouldn't exist. Whether these accounts are true or twisted by time, one fact remains undeniable. Project WW2’s was vast, far larger than what official maps show, and much of it still lies unexplored. In 2018, a group of modern researchers used advanced 3D scanning technology inside one of the tunnels near Wallum. What they found stunned them. Behind a layer of solid rock was a perfectly symmetrical hollow space, roughly the size of two train cars. The discovery reignited the legend. Was this the final resting place of the ghost train? Or just another unfinished chamber in Hitler's underground empire? Some claim those crates were filled with Nazi documents. Decades after the guns of World War II fell silent, the ground beneath Poland still whispers of secrets. Generations have passed, yet the legend of the Nazi gold train refuses to fade. Because for some, it's not just history, it's unfinished business. The modern search began quietly, with whispers in taverns and old archives. But it exploded into global obsession in 2015 when the treasure hunters Andreas Richter and Piotr Koper made a bold claim. They announced they had discovered the exact location of the missing Nazi train, buried beneath a railway embankment near the town of Wałbrzych. Their evidence? A radar scan showing a long, metallic object deep underground, roughly 100 meters in length, with a shape eerily similar to a train. News spread like wildfire. The world's media descended on the small Polish town. Helicopters circled overhead, and for a brief moment, everyone believed the mystery was about to be solved. The Polish government even deployed military engineers to investigate. Local hotels filled with journalists, scientists, and hopeful fortune seekers. People dreamed of buried Nazi gold, priceless art, even the fabled Amber Room, a masterpiece lost during the war. But when the digging began, nothing appeared. Day after day, workers drilled through soil and rock. Cameras rolled, excavators groaned, and at the end of it all there was no train. The radar anomaly turned out to be a natural formation, a trick of mineral deposits. Once again, the Nazi gold train had slipped through the fingers of history. Yet, rather than kill the legend, the failure made it stronger. Because now, people were convinced something or someone was keeping the truth buried. Since that day, more expeditions have come and gone. Historians, geologists, and even conspiracy theorists have joined the chase. Some bring high-tech drones and 3D scanners. Others rely on stories passed down from their grandparents, rumors of tunnels sealed by Soviet troops, or documents hidden in church basements. Each discovery adds another layer to the myth. A rusted helmet, a forgotten railway map marked with cryptic symbols, and recently, aerial scans showing unexplained cavities beneath the mountain's shapes too symmetrical to be natural. Governments have tried to discourage the hunts, citing safety and heritage concerns. But the allure of hidden treasure is stronger than caution. For treasure hunters, the gold train isn't just a legend, it's a lifetime's purpose. Some believe it could hold billions in gold, wealth enough to alter economies. Others, more superstitious, warn that what lies buried is cursed, that the gold, soaked in blood and tragedy, brings misfortune to anyone who seeks it. In one chilling story, a private team in the late 1990s reportedly found a sealed chamber deep within the WW2’s tunnels. Inside were decayed uniforms, rusted weapons, and a single, pristine gold bar stamped with the Reich's emblem. For more than 70 years, the Nazi gold train has haunted history. It began as a rumor, then a legend, and now it stands as one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of World War II. But every legend carries a seed of truth. The question is, how much of this one has been buried beneath time, politics, and fear? Historians have long debated the facts. Some insist the train was real, its disappearance a desperate act by Nazi officers trying to hide their stolen fortune from the advancing Soviets. Others believe it was propaganda, an illusion designed to confuse the enemy, while real treasures escaped through other routes. In 1945, Allied investigators recovered hundreds of tons of Nazi gold in salt mines across Germany and Austria. In Merkers, they found nearly $5 billion worth of gold bars, art, and currency. But even that staggering discovery didn't account for everything. Billions more documented in Nazi records simply vanish. And so, the ghost train theory lives on, because the math never added up. Some declassified Soviet files from the late 1940s mention sealed rail tunnels near Wallam and Walberza. Others describe a confiscated convoy transferred to Moscow, though no evidence was ever made public. It's possible the Soviets found something and took it. Or perhaps they found nothing and decided the myth itself was more useful left unsolved. Then, there's the darker theory, that the train was destroyed deliberately, not to protect gold, but to erase evidence. Evidence of Nazi crimes, hidden documents, and secret experiments connected to Project WW2’s. Some witnesses claimed that the tunnels were never meant to store treasure at all, but people, prisoners, scientists, and something the world was never meant to see. If true, the gold may have been only a distraction, a shining mask over something far more sinister. Because the Owl Mountains weren't just a construction site. They were part of the Nazi regime's last stand, an attempt to move underground, to rebuild, and to vanish. And in that chaos, a train filled with stolen wealth and darker secrets could easily disappear forever. Modern researchers continue to dig both literally and historically. New scanning technology in 2020 revealed several unexplored voids beneath the mountains, perfectly aligned with wartime railway paths. But excavation has stalled. Environmental laws, political tension, and fear of hidden explosives have all slowed the search. So, the mystery remains untouched, like a wound that refuses to heal. Some say that's for the best, that certain secrets should stay buried. Others argue that the truth, whatever it is, belongs to the world, not to the ghost of the past. Maybe the Nazi gold train was real. Maybe it was destroyed. Or maybe it's still there, sealed behind layers of rock and silence, guarded by the weight of history itself. What's undeniable is the power of the story. And perhaps that's what keeps the legend alive.